Today's video is a re-upload of two videos about Viewrange and Camo values with my take on it. Now these videos have been made a long time ago, but they're still relevant, although they need a little bit of refreshing. So I'm gonna do my best here to give you my point of view about this subject that recently has been gathering a lot of attention. I get a lot of questions about Viewrange and Camo rating, so I thought I'd do my best to give you as much information as possible, and I think these two videos are really good and are still relevant in today's game. So let's get started. Now this entire video has been sliced up from the old two previous videos, so I'm going to divide them up into sections and explain them to you one by one. Here we go. This is the first clip of the AMX showing you the 7 visibility checkpoints on the tank, and 2 of them are going to be your visual ports, one on the gun mantlet and one on the turret, on the top of the turret of the tank. In this video it shows you that it is the viewport of the commander's hatch, but in actual fact this is what it's going to look like. Now imagine your tank boxed up. Now you minus the gun barrel and you minus the machine gun, you will get only the physical the hull and the turret of the tank. The first checkpoint is at the center of the roof of the box. The center of the tank, the second in the front, the third at the back, 2 on the sides, and 2 on the gun mantlet. Now the gun mantlet turns, so one of those mantlets, one of those checkpoints stay there while the other follows the mantlet as it rotates. Now 2 of those ports are vision ports, the one on the roof and the one on the mantlet. Here you can see colored green. So there's your 7 checkpoints. Now remember, there are 2 checkpoints on the gun barrel, one that rotates with the barrel and one that stays there. Now in this next clip they're going to show how theoretically how this works in terms of spotting. Now the T-37 is what you're going to be focusing your attention at, and they're attempting to show you how this spotting mechanic works. Now if you poke out this way with your turret looking towards the enemy, you're going to get shot and lose all your HP. That's because you're exposing your checkpoint on the front of the tank without your viewports actually looking at the enemy. So you can't spot any enemy, but you're getting shot at. So they're suggesting to you the right way to do this, if you were going to poke out of a corner, is to use your gun mantlet pointing towards the front, and that way you expose less of your tank. Now realistically you're probably still going to get shot and lose all your HP, because even if you expose a little bit of your tank, you're going to get shot at. So but anyway, that's how it's supposed to work. Now in the next clip, it's going to show the M25 going over the ridge and getting himself wasted because he exposed too much of his tank up there. Now the right way to do it is how it's going to be demonstrated here, which is to keep your tank under the ridge but exposing only your turret and your gun mantlet towards the enemy, and it's going to be difficult for the enemy to shoot you because you're just exposing your turret, the top of your turret, which is really little and difficult to shoot at, but at the same time you're going to be able to spot them. Now in this next clip they're going to show 2 M41 Bulldogs. One of them is being spotted and shot at, and that's because one of his checkpoints was exposed while the rest of his tank was hidden. Now the other tank, even though a lot of his tank is being exposed, but the vital parts, the checkpoint which is like the lower plate, the gun mantlet and the roof, they're protected and not seen by the enemy. So he's not being spotted because he's got the right parts of his tank covered with the bush. Now in the next clip we're going to talk about the maximum view range and your maximum draw distance. The maximum view range that you can you can spot for yourself is 445, and 565 meters is the maximum draw distance. You need to know the difference between the two, and the difference is the maximum view range is what you can see for yourself. The maximum distance that you can spot is 445 meters, while 565 is the maximum distance that you can actually see the tank, that it will render into your monitor screen. The next clip talks about the strength of the vision rays. Now the vision rays is at the strongest at 120 meters, which is the maximum strength, and it gets weaker as it goes further away. I suppose you need to defeat the camo rating of your enemy team as well. On your minimap, you need this enabled in your settings. The furthest circle away is the maximum view range. The next circle is your maximum view range, and the green circle is most important because that's your current maximum view range in your tank. Now I've highlighted this part. Any tank that is inside this ring in between your maximum view range and your maximum render range, they are blind to you and you can shoot them with impunity. And here's a demonstration of how it works. This is the back chat in the old highway map, and he's going to be able to spot some enemies. Now if you look at the enemies, they are inside his, they can see him as well, that's why they're shooting at him. So the right thing to do right now for him is to drive away from the maximum 445 range, which is exactly what he's doing now, but his teammates are still spotting the enemies for him, so he can shoot and basically remain invisible, and as illustrated in this highlight here. So while he's shooting them, they can't see him, and that's how it works. And this next clip is the last clip, and I think it's going to show you a clip about enemies being outside the render range. Now as you can see on the minimap, on the red dot, you can see the enemy is there, but he doesn't show up in your monitors. That's because he's outside the 565 render range, but that doesn't mean you can't shoot him if you aligned your gun to exactly where you think, approximately where you think he is, while this E100 is spotting that guy for you. There's a possibility that you might still hit him. In this next clip, I'm going to show you the LTTB stock, and every stock tank comes with a basic view range and basic camo rating. Now how you can improve upon your view range and camo rating is by adding coated optics or binocular telescopes, but both of them work differently. Optics work while you're on the move, you get 10% extra view range, but if you're using binocular telescope, it only starts working when you're stationary, but you get 25% more view range with binocular telescope. You can use both at the same time, but most people don't. Now regarding commanders qualification as well, the higher the commander qualification is, the more boosts you get to the rest of your crews as well. And you can also use vents and food to boost your view range and camo rating, as well as brothers in arms. You can also add recon to your commander and situational awareness to your radio man to extend that view range. Now this is not this clip we're talking about the 6th sense and how it works. 6th sense lights up like 3 seconds after you are spotted. So the ideal thing to do is to retreat if you think you are spotted. Now you see a RU-251 approaching you. Once you see him approaching, you must assume that you are spotted and you retreat. Now this is because you will receive the 6th sense light bulb 3 seconds late. So if you react slow, you could get yourself killed very quickly. Also in this clip, as it demonstrates, if your commander is dead, your view range is reduced by 50%, which is why you can't see the enemy tank shooting at you right now. So make sure you repair your commander if he gets shot or killed. Now quite often you're going to see a lot of players train their crew, their equipment, use food and run all kinds of perks and stuff like that to get their maximum view range beyond the necessary 445 that you can spot. Now why do you do that? Now the higher your view range is, the more likely you are to spot your enemies and outspot them in the field. Here's a demonstration of how it works. Both tanks are set up identical. The first tank is set up to a maximum of 445 view range, while the second tank is set up to 507 view range with some food and equipment. Now the first tank is going to spot a couple of tanks. I think 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks here, and that's all he spots. Now he's going to retreat, and the second tank with the 507 view range is going to pop up and see 10 tanks. And the reason he's doing that is because the extended view range that he has of 507 meters is actually defeating the camo values on the enemy tanks. And this is not uncommon at all. A lot of people do this, and the higher your view range, the better your chances of beating not just the enemy tanks but also the enemy scouts. You can defeat enemy scout tanks, similar scout tanks, but if they have a lower view range value, you can actually outspot them. And here is a demonstration again of the two same tanks, one with the 445 view range and the other with the 507. They're going to drive towards each other and try to see when they start to spot each other. So here we go. The tank on the left is the tank that's going to have 507 view range, and he's going to start spotting the enemy RU at 427 meters, while the tank on the right, which has 445 meters of view range, is only now going to start spotting the enemy tank that has 507 view range. But it's going to take a while. We're going to get there. I think he starts spotting him at 300. Yeah, here you go, 375 meters. So that's the difference between 507 and 445 spotting view range. Alright, next up we're going to talk about concealment values. Now, every tank has different concealment values. They're affected by the type of tank you drive, the size of your tank, equipment and consumables that you use in your tank. And you need to also know that when you shoot your gun, you lose your values. So let's move into the next video, and we're going to talk about the concealment values, the different kind of concealment factors that you have in your tank. Now, the smaller the tank you are, the better concealment that you have. The bigger your tanks are, the worse your concealment values are. Your concealment value as in your camo value, just so you understand and so that we're clear about this. Now, your tank is always in one of three states that influences its camo factor. Now, the first state is when you are stationary, where your camo is 100%. The second is when you're on the move and your camo factor is reduced by 50%. Now, this only works for medium and heavy tanks, but light tanks always retain 100% camo factor. The third stage is when you shoot the gun. When you shoot the gun, your camo factor drops down to almost zero. Now, your camo factor is going to be reduced even more if you have a large gun, especially ones with muzzle brakes like these big guns. They're going to have almost zero camo value when they shoot. Next up, we're going to talk about using bushes and tree branches to increase your camo capacity. Now, of course, you can't use the tree trunk to conceal yourself, because the tree trunk is just a thin thing. You need to knock the tree down and use the bushes to conceal your position. Now, previously, a long time ago, you couldn't even do that, but the new game, you can do that. Also, you can use the 50-meter proxy spotting. If you are within 50 meters of your enemy tanks, even if you're behind a wall or a building, you will still be able to spot them, and they also will be able to spot you. If you're interested to learn how to shoot behind the bush, I'm going to include a link in this video so that you can get some info about that. And thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.